I speak in English. So if you don't understand me right now, use the Spanish translation below. No, we're very lucky to have Kara Carlisle, who's the Vice President of Programs at the McKnight Foundation, speak with us today. She always inspires us, the leadership team, with her words. It's appropriate she goes after Paula because she always weaves in stories about art and equity and different ways of knowing. And so we asked her if she could join us during this meeting, and she found some time in her schedule. So just a few words to again, it's always great to hear the perspective of McKnight, the foundation. So without further ado, Kara, you go ahead and share your slides and I can be a backup.
Okay, well, first of all, I want to say buenos días. I'm so good to see everyone. Yo hablo español solamente poquito y mi vocabulario es malo. So, because of that, I will speak solamente in English moving forward. So, thank you so much for your work and for the opportunity to be with you today. And I'm going to share a little bit different presentation than I typically do because I want to share with you a little bit about what's happening at McKnight. And for those of you who have met me before, I always talk about pedagogy, liberation pedagogy. And so you'll see me sharing a little bit of that, just a small quote in a presentation that I'll share now. But I just want to say thank you so much. Jane shared with me yesterday that you have been working very hard and very creatively with such deep passion. And so I just want to say on behalf of McKnight and the organization, we thank you so much for what you do every day to change the world and to change us and to be in transformative relationship, both with each other and with the planet. So let me try to share my screen and see if this is going to work. Just a second. Okay. And okay, can you see this? Can I get a thumbs up? Okay, wonderful. So what I'd like to do today is just spend a couple of minutes. Hopefully this is of some use for you to share a little bit about what's been happening here at McKnight. This is my first time to join a meeting with the Andes, I think, in this way, but I've been working with many folks like Claire and Roberto and others over the past couple of years. What I want to share with you today is what I have titled today, Transformative Impact through the holistic leadership and engagement. And this really has been and continues to be what we're doing at McKnight in Minneapolis. So this is a very simple framework that we've been talking about for quite some time here in Minnesota. And we talk about each of us coming into our work with multiple perspectives. So we come in with personal stories, we come in with wisdom, we come in with who we are outside of our day-to-day role and work. And then we enter in networks like at CCRP with each of the different hats that you have on, and many hats, right? Scientist, farmer, community leader, storyteller, elder. So all of these pieces are part of what you bring in as a person into the role of CCRP. And then finally, you're part of a larger system of people committed to transforming food, transforming our planet, transforming ourselves and the world. And so we've been talking a lot about this, particularly over the past year, as in Minnesota, as you all are probably aware, there was the murder of Mr. George Floyd. And we started to have very deep conversations within the staff at every level around how these things happening in our world are really deeply impacted by our personal experiences, our stories, what we've lived through, who our families are, things that we may not talk about as much, particularly in a more formal work context. And then we've been trying to figure out how do these things begin to inform how we approach the work we've come together to do, and then how then can all of these differences come together and add up to make a more powerful, transformative system. So I want to share with you just a few questions, and if this is helpful, Claire and others will leave you these questions, but just to give a little bit more detail. So when we think about our framework of person role system, we think about the personal experiences and insights as assets in the workplace. We begin to think about how these inform our leadership and our roles, and then how we can align all of these for a broader shared purpose. And I actually think that the work that CCRP has done and is doing has always embodied this holistic approach, but I want to lift up that we're doing that also at a foundation level with McKnight across all of our staff and our programs. And so here's my quote that folks will know. I always bring in a quote from Paulo, but we must all be subjects, not objects, actors participating in dialogue towards mutual transformation. And although I'm not with you this week or last week, I believe this is how you work. It is all of you as subjects participating. And with that, I want to share something a little bit more personal, and because this is modeling for how we're working at the foundation. I was raised in my personal life. I was raised in a multi-racial family. So you'll see here on the left, my parents, my brother and I, my many brothers, and we were a family of mixed race. We had foster children growing up. We had 23 African-American boys in our home growing up as well. And you'll see here on my lap, a young man a young baby who was part of our family when I was a child. And I share this because this has really shaped how I think about the work and the world, that multi-race, multicultural is just part of how I see the world and what's really powerful about social change. And then I'm in the role of VP of McKnight. So I have a very formal role that I do within our system, and our whole foundation is continuing to evolve and change within a foundation, really informed by the family and the work that you do in terms of feeding our world. And all of these pieces, I think, really combined, and all of our pieces combined at the staff and with you all as partners, really help to create a transformative opportunity for our world. So I'm gonna not go through all of these questions here because I think you guys are going through lots of questions, but I will just say that there are some reflection questions that I will leave with you all about you know, again, I think many of these you may be doing, but these are things that we've been talking about at work. You know, what if we made visible from our personal life what could make our work more meaningful and powerful? And invite you all to continue to do that in your work at CCRP. And at this moment globally of reckoning around race and gender, and I know you've been talking about gender and around economic inequality, how do these personal experiences and the wisdom and insights that you bring really help inform the future? And then at the systems level, how are you all as a network, small and large and multifaceted, thinking about diversity and inclusion and equity, and how is that informing our collective strive towards justice, both for people and planet? The other questions here, I'll just leave with you too, are about accountability and about how you're learning outside of traditional types of knowledge. And again, I think you all are doing this really, really beautifully already, but how do we continue to make that really clear and explicit so that our networks are informed by a more holistic view of insight, learning, wisdom, so that we can really move toward transformation? So those are my slides, if I can figure out how to, oh, here we go. And those are some of the comments that I just like to share from Minnesota, in Minneapolis this morning as a contribution to your ongoing work. because we believe as a foundation that all of these elements, who you are as people, what you're doing as part of the network, are helping to make our system stronger and our world and our planet more just. So with that, I'll stop and say if there's any question, or Claire, if there's anything else that you want to touch on, or anyone else, I'd be happy to engage. But just want to leave those thoughts with you all.
Thank you so much, Kara. That was really beautiful. I haven't seen you talk about that. So it was an interesting framework and a great reflection question for us. I wonder if everyone can turn on their, well, I'll just keep speaking English. No sé si todos pueden encender su cámara para que podamos despedir, a lo menos ayudar a la cara.
Les invito a, sí, es una buena idea encender la cámara y para que vean los rostros. Me gusta.
That's beautiful. Beautiful.
Sí, entonces.
Can I say one last thing, Claire?
Yes.
One of the reflections I've had, really, I was off last week, so that's why I haven't been with you. I was on some time to reflect and to restore after a long year. And I'm really wrestling with, what is this moment calling for all of us as leaders? And I mean that in terms of everyone. It doesn't matter your title, and the planet is hot. It's getting hotter. The pain and the suffering that people feel is continuing to escalate in lots of different ways. Our Haitian brothers and sisters as well are struggling now. And I think that this is a moment where we have so much collective power and so much collective wisdom. And even for myself, having grown up in a very low-income family and a very complicated, I was adopted, as you could tell from my picture. So I was born to a single mother in another country, and I was brought as a child, as a baby, to the States. I think about what it is that each of us carries, that if we can continue to unlock, that we're not ashamed of our past, that we're not ashamed of our the losses, but that they become our superpowers of compassion and of hope and of love. And I look at these screens of all of you many of you I haven't had a chance to meet, but I know you're working. I think about what we are able to do together, and that maybe we don't even understand if we can unlock all of these aspects of who we are, because it's a beautiful, rich set of assets and strengths that I don't know that we always even ourselves fully actualize. And at a moment when the world is without a lot of hope, when I look at you all and I look at McKnight and the team, and I look at many, many people all over the world like yourselves, I actually feel a great deal of hope. A great deal of hope. And I'm going to go back to Freire, Paulo, that conflict is a sign of hope, right? Conflict is what allows us to see differently and to challenge and to grow. And so I see this as one of the most hopeful moments where all of us can be activated if we have the courage to do it together. And so I just want to say again, on behalf of McKnight and in acknowledgement of Claire and your fiery leadership over the years that I have had a chance to meet, and with Roberto and your gentle fire, and Jane, the ability to hold so much complexity and continue to create the space for you all. Thank you for informing us and helping to teach us in Minnesota how you are learning and informing our practice. And I think I saw earlier someplace, I think I've lost Rebecca. Oh, there you are, Rebecca. And I want to say, just acknowledge with this group how much of a difference Rebecca has made and will continue to make in the field as she prepares for her transition to continue to be part of the community, but to roll up her sleeves and get back into the field of research on the ground. So thank you again for taking time out of your meeting to allow me to share a little bit what's on my mind and heart. And with that, I will turn it back over, I believe, to either Claire or Jane. And again, muchas gracias.
I think Sergio and Yasmin, Kara, thank you so much. It's really important and inspiring when you can visit the Andes, even if it's virtually. It will soon be in person, we hope. And I know there'll be a very warm welcome for you when you come to meet this amazing, hopeful group of people and all the work that they do. So really appreciate your thoughts and your words and your caring and your support for the program, because it's making a difference in so many people's lives. So thank you.
Y muchas gracias, Cara. Yo solo quiero compartir en el chat de Zoom. Sonia Laura desde La Paz, Bolivia. Cara, muchas gracias por compartir su historia de vida. Es muy inspiradora, llena de mucha sensibilidad, pero a la vez de mucha fuerza. Me llegó muy profundo. Muchas gracias. Muy bien, Claire. No sé si quieres cerrar este espacio o damos el chance a otras personas de conversar.
Si no, está cerrado este espacio.
Cerrado en círculo.
Sí, ya voy a hacer el símbolo. Y no, sí, muchas gracias de nuevo, Kara. Creo que es un buen arranque de nuestro día escucharte.
Tengo también Catherine Mesa desde Perú. Gracias, Cara. Siempre nos reconforta escuchar palabras con tanto sentimiento y sensibilidad y que también apuestan por la esperanza. Y Israel Navarrete desde Ecuador, ¿no? Gracias, Cara. Súper inspirador. María Eugenia desde la Universidad Central aquí en Ecuador. Inspiradora tu historia y es una herramienta también para el cambio. Muy bien. Entonces, muchísimas gracias, Cara, y gracias por acompañarnos en este momento. Y voy a avanzar con nuestra agenda, sabiendo que nos llevamos.
Gracias, chao.
Un fuerte abrazo.